Butcher, the principal of Kennedy Elementary School in Winder Barrow, Georgia. And thank you for joining us as we attempt to travel to all 50 states of the United States this summer through books. This summer we are traveling we're traveling west, straight west, to about 503 miles to Leland, Mississippi. Leland, Mississippi is one of those places that I would like to go to because I am a big Kermit the Frog fan, and Leland, Mississippi is the birthplace of Kermit the Frog. You can actually go to a museum there that's all about Kermit the Frog. There's 5 schools in Leland, Mississippi. We did not get a principal from Mississippi, so if you know someone in either Leland, Mississippi or anywhere in Mississippi that's a principal, give them my contact number. I'd love to talk to them. We'll do a little video and learn a bit more about Mississippi. But Leland, Mississippi is where we're traveling today. The book that we're going to be reading, award-winning book, state award-winning book for state of Mississippi, is Feast of the Peas by Kashmira Sheth, illustrated by Jeffrey Ebeler. Hopefully you enjoy. Feast of the Peas by Kashmira Sheth, illustrated by Jeffrey Ebeler. Feast of the Peas. Once upon a time, in the country of India, lived a man named Jiva. Every day, Jiva worked in his garden until the sun turned as red as a bride's sari. Jiva planted carrots and beans, potatoes and tomatoes, eggplants and okra, but he was most excited about his peas. As Jiva planted them, he sang, "Plump peas, sweet peas, lined up in the shell, peas, peas too much, peas to munch, peas to crunch. I want a feast of peas for lunch." I love books when they sing. The peas were the first ones to sprout. Jiva hoed the rows, watered the seedlings, and waited. Soon the vines rambled over the soil. Jiva weeded and watered the garden and waited some more. In time, the plants were covered with delicate blossoms. Birds flew overhead. Jiva scratched his head, wondering how to keep them away from his peas. Then Jiva snapped his fingers, and he had an idea. He built a scarecrow of sugarcane stalks and dressed it with an old dhoti, a shirt, and a red turban. Jiva waited some more. The pea flowers turned into tiny pea pods, and the tiny pea pods turned into big pods. Soon it would be time for a feast of peas. Rujvi came to visit. "Jiva, some of your peas look plump," he said, smacking his lips. "I'll pick them tomorrow," Jiva said, "and then I'll have a feast of peas." He sang, "Plump peas, sweet peas, lined up in the shell, peas, peas to munch, peas to crunch. I want a feast of peas for lunch." "Peas are delicious," Rujvi said. "I would enjoy a feast of peas." When Jiva got up the next morning, the sun was peeking over the horizon. He hurried to the garden to harvest the peas. They had vanished. Jiva examined the scarecrows. It still stood watch. Just then, Rujvi came by. "Who ate my peas?" Jiva asked in a sad, soft voice. "Maybe rabbits ate them," Rujvi said. "Look, there are some tiny pea pods. Soon you'll have more peas." Jiva scratched his head, wondering how to keep rabbits away. The scarecrow wouldn't help. Then Jiva snapped his fingers. He had an idea. Jiva put a fence around the garden. A few days later, there were more peas in Jiva's garden. Rujvi visited again. "Jiva, some of your peas look plump," he said, smacking his lips. "Yes," Jiva said. "I'll pick them tomorrow. Then I'll have a feast of peas." He sang, "Plump peas, sweet peas, lined up in the shell, peas, peas to munch, peas to crunch. I want a feast of peas for lunch." "Peas are delicious," Rujvi said. "I would enjoy a feast of peas." When Jiva got up the next morning, the sun was peeking over the horizon. He hurried to the garden to harvest the peas. They had vanished. Jiva examined his scarecrows. It still stood watch. Jiva examined the fence. It was secure. Just then, Roujvi came by. Who ate my peas? Jiva asked. Maybe a ghost ate your peas, Roujvi whispered. Look, there are some tiny pea pods. Soon you'll have some more peas. Jiva scratched his head, wondering how to keep a ghost away. The scarecrow wouldn't help. The fence wouldn't help. Then Jiva snapped his fingers. He had an idea. A few days later, Roujvi visited again. Jiva, some of your peas look plump, he said, smacking his lips. I'll pick them tomorrow, Jiva said. And then he sang, sweet pea, plump peas, sweet peas, lined up in the shell, peas, peas to munch, peas to crunch, I'll have a feast of peas for lunch. Peas are delicious, Roujvi said. I would enjoy a feast of peas. The next morning, just before the sun came out, a ghost appeared in the garden. It stepped over Jiva's fence. It bowed to Jiva's scarecrow and asked, May I have some peas, please? Then the ghost answered his own question. Of course, you may have as many peas as you please. The ghost bowed again. Why, thank you. Quickly, he picked up all the peas and dropped them in a pouch. The ghost was about to leave when the scarecrow came alive. May I take those peas you've picked? The ghost trembled. The scarecrow answered his own question, mimicking the ghost's voice. Of course, you may take all the peas. The scarecrow extended his hands. The ghost dropped his pouch. As the scarecrow walked towards him, the ghost fled. Down the street and up the alley, the scarecrows chased the ghost. They ran past the temple and through the market. The ghost ran all the way to the river. He dove into the water. He looked back to see if the scarecrow was following him. Instead, he saw a big crowd watching him from the shore. He had been tricked. Roujvi took off his mask as he came out of the water. Jiva, I'm sorry for stealing your peas. And trying to fool me and scare me, Jiva said. You must pay for what you've done. Roujvi looked at the ground. What's my punishment, he asked. Jiva scratched his head, wondering what to do. Then he snapped his fingers. Roujvi, you can cook a feast for me, he said, smacking his lips. When Jiva sat down to eat, there were peas with rice and spice, peas wrapped in mashed potato pockets, and peas swimming in soup. Jiva tasted the soup. Delicious, he said, taking another spoonful. Then he put it down and snapped his fingers. You also love peas, Roujvi. Let's have a feast of peas together. The two friends sang. Plump peas, sweet peas, lined up in the shell, peas, peas to munch, peas to crunch. We have a feast of peas for lunch. The Feast of the Peas.